Hi everyone, I'm Sudeshna. If you are new to this channel, I am a career strategist who also happens to have a corporate job. Uh, and today I am joined by my very special guest who actually has been a corporate leader in her own right. I have with me Griselda Beck, who is a visionary, an entrepreneur, an expert strategist, a motivational speaker, and a proud Latina. So, Griselda, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
So, Griselda, will you tell us a bit more about yourself? What do you
Sure.
do?
So I have two businesses. I run a consulting company that's where I say we take care of your company and do business visionary strategy and marketing strategy. And then we do a small business advisory program for small business owners. And then I have Latina Boss Coach, which is a coaching business for women who lead. So that could encompass corporate women and also entrepreneurs that are in their early years. So that's what
That
I do.
that's great. That sounds like a lot. And I wonder how you find time for it all. But tell
Sure.
us a bit about your journey from corporate to entrepreneurship.
Sure. I grew up with an entrepreneurial mom. So I suppose a little bit of that was always in my blood. But I do remember what it was like for my parents to have a business, and I knew I did never wanted to work like that. They had a lot of sleepless nights. It seemed very stressful, and not as much time for vacations and things like that. So that was my idea of entrepreneurship, which is very typical in a brick and mortar type company. So I wanted structure, and I went off into the corporate world and excelled. By my early 30s, I was an executive and six-figure salary, and all the things that I had dreamed of, all the bells and whistles that come with that, lots of travel, eating at fancy places, entertaining with clients, and several long-lasting, really good relationships.
Mm.
But there came a point in time in my career where it wasn't enough anymore. And
Mm.
I was kind of dreading going to work. And I kept wondering, you know, I had to go on a journey of self discovery and getting back clear with why I have so much to be thankful for and so many blessings. I have everything that I said I wanted to do. I did it.
Mm.
Obviously, you know, it takes a village. So there's always people along your way that help shape your path, that either
Absolutely.
speak a word into you or open up a door or make an introduction. So I definitely had that. But I just had to think about, okay, what is it that I want? Was it going to another company? That wasn't really the answer for me. It was like more of the same. Did I want to become a president of a company? So that'd be the next rung up. No, that's not really what I wanted to do. I didn't want the lifestyle of what I saw, you know, most presidents and CEOs having. So then I had to really think, and through a long process, I realized, you know, I needed to create my own baby. I'm an overachiever. And
Mm.
so you're always like pushing for, I don't know, I started off as an account manager. So then I was pushing for like management. Once I was management, I was pushing for upper management. So I got to upper management, I was an executive. And once I was the executive, it was the next not pain, campaign. And then taking the brand to the next level, taking the brand to an international level. There's always, you know, you achieve that thing and then you want something bigger. So that was the thing bigger for me. I think the thing bigger for me was outside of corporate, and that was starting my own baby from scratch. So
That's
here I
really
am, 2.5 years
interesting.
into it, and I'm loving it. I think what's different this time for me, and that I think I wish I would have kept more in mind when I was in my earlier career, is I always lived for milestone moments. So for
Mm.
when I got that promotion, when I hit a certain salary mark, when I hit certain marker in the campaign,
Mm.
you know, and but the journey is happening. I mean, the joy is in making that happen day by day. And I
Yeah.
wish I would have savored it a little bit more. I mean, I have the memory, but I think when you're always moving forward in, you know, fast forward, and your eyes are always completely set ahead of you, it keeps you going, but you also lose sight of what you're experiencing in the meantime. So
Yeah.
this time around with my baby, I'm trying to just be very mindful, um, very present and enjoying the ups, the downs, the difficult parts, the wins, all of it.
I love it. So we'll stop there for a bit because there's a lot to unpack there. I kind of am wondering, so you grew up with entrepreneurial parents and you did not want their lifestyle. And then when you reached for that exec level position, you did not want the lifestyle of the CEOs and the presidents that you were seeing in the corporate world. Tell us a bit more about that. That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I love to travel, and I think when I got into it's really doesn't matter if you're the president. What I've come to learn is it doesn't matter if you're the president, the CEO, an entrepreneur, the CEO of your own company. It really comes down to boundaries and being really in tune with who you are and what makes you smile. And making sure that setting healthy boundaries, even with work, some people are great at it. Overachievers tend to not be good at it. I was terrible at it. And it takes a toll. It takes a toll on your health. It takes a toll on your relationships. And it's important to make sure that you make time for the things that make you smile, the things that are important to you, the things that align with your core values. And so in doing so, I wanted to now work for, make sure that the company that I worked for was in line with my values. They were, but that the company that I built was in line with those core values. And that was built around the things that were important to me, and that I built it mindful of making time for the things. So I still try to make time to dance and to do my fitness, and I love lifting weights.
Great.
To have, I've been working 7 days a week for the last couple of weeks because I'm in the middle of a brand launch. But it's a season, first of all. And then I take nights off like I did last Friday, and it was just off the clock, everything electronic off. And I had my mom over and my sisters through Zoom and my friends here in the house. And even though we're social distance and 6 feet apart, we had a wine party and a spa night, and really being present in those moments, and, being gracious and grateful for the part that they take in my life. And so being able to make that time for them, even though I'm in the middle of lunch, even though there's a bunch of things that are waiting on me, just carving out that evening so that the next day I can pick it up and I feel rejuvenated. So things like that are really important. They seem small. They seemed really small to me and insignificant when I was in the corporate rat race. But my biggest lesson was that control over that was in me. So what I would tell myself 10 years ago would be that.
Right. Okay. We'll again stop for a minute. I have another question about your experience. So you basically come from a family of entrepreneurs, fresh into the corporate world. You did not have connections, so to speak, to
No.
get ahead, but you did that anyway. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So let's see. My first round in corporate, I worked for Cardinal Health, Fortune 500 company. Somebody that was in our career counselor office at the university submitted me as a referral for a job, and that's how I got that first job. I got the interview for that job. We land the interviews ourselves, but people paved the way to get the interview.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot at that company, a lot of big company thinking and perspective. And then I went back and got my master's. I taught university for a little bit. And then I landed my second big corporate job, which is where I built my career in the dietary supplement industry. And yeah, it was more so, I remember in my early years, probably within my first year, I wanted a raise. I felt like I was working way above and beyond and doing so good. And I went into my review meeting with all this data. And I remember feeling very disheartened when, she said, "Why should we give you a raise?" And I was like, "What?" So, I was bummed, and I talked to another executive that was at the same company, and I had the privilege of taking a ride out to go see a client with her. So of course I started asking questions, and she told me, okay, well, why don't you rephrase the question? If she won't give you the raise, why don't you ask her, what will it take? And just that one, but one phrase like changes the trajectory of your path. Because from now on, whenever it came to negotiating contracts, negotiating with clients, trying to bounce back from maybe something that had gone awry and trying to recover from that situation, I have always used that phrase of, okay, what will it take? If this isn't good enough, then what will it take? Right. And so that would be my advice to anyone who is up and coming in corporate and you're trying to move your career up, is whatever it is for what you want. There's a big difference between what you think it's going to get what you think it's going to take to get there and what it's going to take to get there. So make sure that you ask the question and get clear.
Yeah.
On what
that's so important. What will it take? And at times, whatever it takes, we are ready or not ready, or we think we are ready. So many a times I think we say that, oh yeah, it'll take me 10 years to get here of really, really hard work, and then I would have built a, I don't know, $1 million business, or I'd be the CEO of a company. However, we at times gloss over how much it takes in the terms of, so you are a high achiever and you kind of actually put in the work and you got behind the what will it take. So you clearly are very motivated. Tell us a bit more about how do you keep that motivation going, and what would your advice be to anyone who wants to get there but is probably losing a bit of motivation?
Sure. So I always tell people that mentorship is very important. We're not supposed to always have, it's not as important to always have the right answer. It's more important to know where to go to get it. That makes sense? So whether that be, you should always have as a foundation your a trusted peer. Doesn't have to be in the same company, but someone that's at your career level that gets what life is like on a day-to-day. They could even be in a different industry, a best friend, but somebody who is in the same race as you are and can sympathize. It's important to seek out mentors. So that day when that lady told me that, my friend, I shouldn't call her that lady, my friend, I miss her very much, she passed away. When she spoke that word into me, she became my mentor that day. And she introduced me to other mentors that became part of my career path. And that's how it started to grow. Another mentor I'm going to sidebar for a second. Another mentor told me, another executive at the same company asked me if I had any plans to go into management. And I said, well, no, because, not no, but so-and-so is ahead of me. They've been here longer. And he said, well, why not you? And I was like, that was another key thing in my whole career, even now, that I am looking for very famous speakers to be on my summit. I have to keep asking myself, why not me? Why not my summit? When you're going after a client project, why not you? When you're going after a promotion, why not you? And so, and you should be ready to answer that question when you have the platform, right?
Yeah.
So seeking out mentors is so important. Someone who's already where you want to go, who's leaps and bounds ahead of you, because they've already gone through this and they've seen other people go through this, and they can help you kind of navigate what are the different paths to get there. They can kind of speak that word into you when you're starting to doubt yourself. We call that imposter syndrome. When you think like you might not be good enough. That self-doubt, and they kind of help to recognize your strong points and speak them back to you. And then the best thing you can do is to get a coach. And I'm not here to promote my services or yours, But I can tell you right now, I have 4 coaches right now. The coach gets coached.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's just important that you have somebody who's invested in seeing you get to that point. It's the straightest line and it's the quickest way to get there quickly, whatever it
Yeah.
is you're trying to achieve. So if it's launch a business, okay. If it's doing the corporate to entrepreneurship leap, then find a coach who's niched in that. If it's how to revitalize your marketing and get more clients and more leads in, then look for a marketing coach. If it's
Yeah.
how to get that promotion you've been looking for to accelerate your career, then get a career coach who's
Yeah.
focused on career acceleration and salary acceleration. So
Yeah.
they help you in the
Yeah. That is so important, isn't it? Like you, I have, I think, 3 coaches, and then I can't even tell you the number of online courses I'm signed up
yes,
to.
yes.
But the thing is, every time I say, okay, this I should put my head down and do the work, and before I buy any course, one more course, I kind of tend to beat myself up at times. Or am I gonna buy yet another course and not be finishing it? So what would your advice be for people who already probably are overwhelmed with the amount of information? Because on the world wide web we have tons and tons of
Gosh,
information.
it's
So how do you
information
navigate through that?
overload. I mean, the cool thing is you can pretty much figure anything out online.
Mm,
The bad thing is it's like 100 ways to do 1,000 different things, right?
yeah.
Or a million different things. And there's just so much information out there, it's almost impossible to consume it all. Are you a self-affirmed course junkie? Because I am. Yeah, so here's the difference between buying courses and getting a coach. Courses are self-paced. It's great. It is a lower cost. You can go at your own pace. It takes a ton of self-discipline. And even when the course is really well done and mapped out for you and they tell you what to do day by day, life happens. And getting back on track when you're so behind, it's like when you have one unread email and you're like, okay, I'll get back to it, and you don't answer it, and then 5 minutes later you have 10 unread emails. By the end of the day you've got 200, and you figure I'll just do it tomorrow, and by tomorrow you have 400. Then it's just like, forget it, I won't do any
Mm,
of it, right?
mm,
But with a coach, that live accountability, or if you buy a course, look for a course that has live accountability as a part of it.
mm, mm,
um, Not just groups coaching sessions, but something one-on-one. That one-on-one component, even if it's 20 minutes twice a month,
mm.
is so important.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my recommendation. I know that coaching can be a little more expensive, but you can also have a better return on your investment overall. If I were to add up all of the money I spent on a course, I could have paid for a coach or 2 with that money, and it would
Yeah.
have probably given me better results. So,
Right. And let's take a step back for all of our listeners who are probably still in the corporate world and they are looking to grow in the corporate world itself. So, does it make sense for them to um, do courses that are, you know, funded by essentially themselves out of their pocket, not their business? Why would a coach or a course be a good idea for a professional who technically should have a lot of these available to them already through their L&D or learning and development programs at their own corporate jobs? Why do you think that's important?
well, not all corporate jobs have access to extensive development program, personal development or professional development programs. I know large companies like Fortune 500 companies, like Cardinal Health, um, several companies. They're very big, they're very structured, but a lot of mid-size to the smaller end of large companies may not have structured programs like that within their corporations. My last company didn't have that. Certainly, if we came to the table and said, hey, there's this course, I want to take it, and here's the outcome that I expect to grow from it and how it can benefit the company as well, they were definitely open to that. But there wasn't necessarily a structure like Cardinal University that was available when I was at Cardinal Health. We didn't have that at my last company. So seeking out courses that are going to give you a specific outcome, or that you're going to gain a specific skill that is related to your job or the job that you're shooting for.
Yeah.
And I would definitely, if your corporation does not, if your company doesn't offer, a pre-set up standard university within it, I would seek out the courses that you think you're going to need to fill that resume for the job that you want. And then make a presentation to your boss. Here's the cost, here's the expected outcomes, here's how I'm going to utilize it, and here's how it benefits the company. Remember to tie it back to what's in it for them.
Yeah.
And then make a proposal for it, and then you got to make a commitment to follow that course through.
Yeah. And you know what, I actually am quite blessed to have worked for the biggest consulting houses. We had the best of coaches, the best of trainings. But even then, somewhere down the line, I invested in a lot of courses just because, and did not even ask my employers for the money, just because I knew that if I am doing this, it's an investment into my future rather than always trying to make a business case for, and then if they say no, I just don't do the course. Ask for the money, but also be aware, I guess, of the investment that it is really in your career.
There's going to be things that are worth an investment for your personal career, like your career goals, that are not tied to the company's bottom line. And absolutely, what makes the difference between someone who can fast track their career and someone who doesn't is the person who's willing to invest time, energy, and money into their own career development. It does cost money to get a resume reviewed by an expert, not just your friends or a mentor anymore, but get it professionally looked at by an industry leading expert. Someone who specializes in resumes for that industry or that type of job, or an executive. I didn't really invest in a resume expert until I was going for that executive job. So once I was breaking into that level, and my resume was it's a completely different format. It reads differently. The professional profile is different. So it was worth that investment for me to do. And no, the company obviously didn't pay for that.
Absolutely.
I invested in an executive coach that I had from time to time as needed. There were sometimes some difficult situations internally that I needed help maneuvering and guidance on, okay, well, how do I approach this? Like the strategic part of managing relationships, right? Sometimes even the best bosses need some outside help from someone who's not in your company. You need like that outside perspective to kind of help you, deliver communication, negotiate a different way. Even though I was an executive and have been doing it for a long time, there's always like a different perspective if you hear it through someone else's ears. So yeah, definitely I would say if you are someone who is committed and you are looking to climb that corporate ladder far up and quickly, you should expect to invest time, energy, and money. Those things they have a cost. It also means you give up a lot of social stuff, right? To go and participate in some of these things. The time that you have to make for it, the energy that it takes out of you. Sometimes, after a 12-hour day, nobody wants to go home and study somewhere. But yeah.
That's excellent, and I love it. So in terms of the time and energy, I feel like we are in the time of COVID-19, where people are starting to lose that excuse of I don't have time. What are your thoughts on that?
That they don't have time?
Yeah. So
Um,
I
you
talk
always have
people,
time. It's just a
yeah.
matter of what's your priority.
Mm, I love it. And how do you know this should be your priority or it shouldn't be? Or how do you basically ruthlessly prioritize what you want to be doing, or ruthlessly prioritize your career or your family or your, 15 other things that need your attention?
So, yeah, that's a valid question, and one in which I struggled, right, in my career. So, I think when you are going through your career, just like in relationships, I make a lot of analogies with relationships because I see it. There's a lot of similarities in the
Mm,
dynamics, but you make a lot of compromises on your way up, and seasonal compromises are okay. Compromises that don't take away from you who you are, your values, not compromising your values is
mm,
important. Um, so the first exercise I have any of my clients do is they have to get clear on who they are. What are your core values? What are your strengths? What are your desires?
mm,
Because if you're not clear on each of those three areas, then you'll be navigating more in reactive mode and just doing things without purpose. So once you're very clear from that, it becomes very easy what's the priority that you take,
yeah.
right? So if adding one program or is going to mean that you have no family time and everything else, is it for 3 months? Is it for 3 months that you have to ask everyone in your life, like, hey, can you just be supportive of me? I'm going to be a little MIA because I'm going to be focused on this. But then at the end of that, you got to come back through.
Mm,
And I think in my career, what I would tell my younger self where I went awry is there was a series of 3 months that never ended,
mm,
and then you end up compromising and losing yourself in because your job it becomes the only important thing.
yeah.
And so that's not appropriate. I think as human beings, we're multidimensional people. So
Mm,
we need to make sure that overall, in a year's worth time, that we are feeding all parts of ourselves.
all
So we
parts of
don't get
us.
lost for too long. Make sure it's just for a season. But yeah,
Yeah.
getting really clear on who you are will help you determine what those priorities should be. And if one
Uh,
program doesn't fit that priority and that alignment, then find another one.
yeah.
Yeah,
There.
don't get stuck at the first no or it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. And more likely than not, even if you are struggling to find that mentor, I guess, in your close circle or in your company or in your work environment, I guess if you just have a look at the online resources that are available, you finally
Yeah,
will find that person who resonates with you in some ways.
yeah.
And
That's where I keep going back to coaching because a coach will help you with
mm,
figuring out yourself and the priorities, and you don't have to go on a 6-month coaching program. I think that's what turns a lot of people off too. It's like it's
mm,
always $5,000 and it's a year long. No, there are coaches out there who work on a 1 or 2 time basis, where you can just get clarity. And if you are a self-driven person, I would recommend that you at least go get the clarity and get your goals kind of set up, maybe once
mm,
a quarter, maybe once a year,
mm.
and then proceed that year with what courses and what areas of your life you need to develop during that year.
Yeah, I love it. So, Griselda, do you do any coaching for any of our viewers who might be interested in reaching out?
I do. I do career coaching. So anyone that's looking to climb, in their post-university, maybe their first 2-3 years in their
Mm-hmm.
career. Most of the clients tend to be about 7 years into their career and really trying to break into executives. So
Mm,
I can help them get strategies on how to fast track that career. And then I do a lot of corporate to entrepreneurship, so exit strategy, how to build a bridge so that you're secure financially in the meantime, or how to start a side hustle, side business as you're doing,
mm, mm,
and in conjunction to staying in corporate. Then there's even corporate people who are leaders and executives who are looking to expand their career beyond the four walls of corporate life. So that might mean some consulting on the side, some speaking. A lot of them are launching speaking engagements, doing more workshops, how to, get their media plan together and get called on to speak at different industry events and things like that.
And all of these are valid side hustles, speaking,
Yes.
actually doing something on the side in freelance terms, consulting, and yeah, of course, the rest of it depends on how you design your life in a way.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, you can stay in corporate, but this is now like, rather than you being known as Cardinal Health, you're now creating a personal brand,
yeah,
and you're positioning yourself as the expert of some subject, that then, it can be a side hustle. It can also set you up for, life at retirement. If you want to consult or do something like that, if you want to write a book one day, lots of opportunities.
yeah.
It's not just, it doesn't just end at president.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what people miss when they start out on their corporate careers is what it has taken for the CEO to be the CEO.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Most
it's
CEOs of large companies, most of their work is external. It's not so much internal. It's the relations, it's the lobbying, it's working with the board of directors, it's the vision of the company, and then making strategic alliances for the company. A lot of that.
exactly. And so many people, I guess, miss the fact that the Google CEO actually rarely gets to, you still there, Griselda? Okay, I think we've lost her. But what I was saying is the Google CEO rarely gets to actually do any bit of Google's own strategy even. He's probably spending tons and tons of time talking to lawyers, making business alliances, talking to 15 other businesses and governments even, and trying to kind of bridge that gap. So, okay, it seems like we have lost Griselda. What I'll do is we'll take a short break and see you when she joins back. So we are back after a short break, and I think we are almost done. And you did provide us and even me with a lot of good insight about boundaries, about career strategies, and about actually hiring coaches or finding mentors, finding courses that resonate with you. Is there any last words of wisdom that you wanted to share with us, Griselda?
Just conquer impossible. Whatever it is that you want, that you've dreamed of, write it down. Don't be afraid to give life to your dream.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what it takes to go after it, find a mentor, find a coach, and go for it. Just conquer impossible.
Yeah, and keep asking, what will it take?
What will it take to get there?
Yes.
That's exactly it.
Great. Love it. Thank you so much for coming over. I will leave the details of your website in the description box below, and I will see you very soon.
Yes, when I get to interview you.
Yeah, that'll be good. Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone. Good luck.
Bye. Bye.